Time to abandon ship.
Oh no!
Here we go!
Can I persuade you to join us for a drink? It's a tradition.
Here, here.
Jar Jar, homie, my main man, quickly. Before the Separatists attack, get into the escape pod.
Hey! This is escape, then we're the pod.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Star Wars Escape Pod. This is your host talking, Josh, and this is our 1-year anniversary episode. The show launched a year ago as of August 30th in 2019, so I figured I would just put out this very special short episode to celebrate that, to update you guys on all the latest, what's coming, what we've done, any new listeners here on the show that are tuning in for the first time, just to kind of catch you up to speed on things and how we do things here at the show. Just wanted to take a moment to do all of that stuff and also inform you on the ways that you can connect with us. So let's get into it.
Another happy landing.
All right, so welcome back. We have a very short special episode today, as I mentioned before, to celebrate the anniversary. It's also a great episode for any of you guys who are newer to the show. Maybe this is your first episode that you're listening to. FYI, this is a great episode to share with friends if you have been listening for a while, and the intro might just be not enough if it's too short, because it's only 3 minutes long. It's sort of like a preview as to what to come. But if this is the episode that's better suited for sharing because it actually informs a lot better, then that's also why this is made. So welcome to everybody who's new. Welcome back to everyone who's been tuning in for a while now. And big thank you to all of you guys who have been with us since the beginning. This has been kind of a dream come true in a way. As far as a self-hobby goes, I've always wanted to start off a Star Wars podcast. And a year ago when we managed to do that on August 30th. But when I say me, I mean myself and everyone who's been involved with the show, including all the guests that I've had on, including the Dominic Pace from The Mandalorian, and our friend Iain over in England. All the names mentioned that you can find through all the backlogged episodes that we got going on. Big thank you to everyone who's been involved with the show. First off, that's a big thing. And honestly, I could do this myself. It would not be nearly as interesting. So that's also why I'm saying thank you in the way that I am, because it just makes it so much more interesting to listen to when you're going on with two people on the show. And Diego especially, I mean, he's my man. He's been on the show for 40 solid episodes, doing the Clone Wars Talk series with me in chronological order from the beginning to the end of the show. That's a big task. So for those of you who don't know, Diego, he's a personal friend of mine. Him and I had this journey that we wanted to take through the Star Wars The Clone Wars series. And a big thank you to him for doing so. And simultaneously, he was able to watch the show while we did this series. But the whole point of it was that we went through in order of the episodes, because Clone Wars viewing order is a little messed up. So we went through in the proper order. And we basically just sat down, watched a couple episodes, whether it be at right here where we do the recordings, or online through Discord or something like that. We were able to stream them and synchronize up and then chat about the episodes after. And we stylized those episodes as kind of like an after show. So that's the first thing I want to talk about to catch you guys up to speed. Is Clone Wars Talk is sort of like an after show based series where you watch the episodes that we got listed in the description. There's a few words down there about that day's events and what we're going to be talking about. And then you go on to Disney Plus or whatever, your Blu-rays or DVDs or whatever you got. You watch those episodes, and then you listen to us chat about them for 45 minutes to an hour and 30 minutes kind of thing. And we just have a good time breaking the episodes down, talking about the characters in depth, the lore, the planets, just anything that we noticed that was worth mentioning. that's sort of what we talk about. And so we don't exactly recap the whole episode. So there's some times where we walk through the events of the story, but the whole purpose of that show is to actually break down kind of the more important aspects of those episodes. So that's a great series that we've had on the podcast for the majority of the show, because I think now this is the 72nd or the 73rd episode or something like that. And 40 of our entire library of recordings are the Clone Wars talk parts. So that was a big project, and a massive thank you to Diego for taking part in that and sharing that experience with me. It's never something I've been able to do before, and thanks to the podcast that's been made possible, just being able to chat about that. So other than that, though, we've had the round tables around the Mandalorian. I think those went pretty well. I think the recording process was a little janky because at the time we were using one mic. So I think going forward, our round tables be a lot different and just structured a little differently. Discussions. We've had great discussions with about some of the books coming up lately, and big thank you to AJ and Iain for participating in those conversations as well. We've had a chat with Dominic Pace, our guest star from Mandalorian. He plays the bounty hunter Gecko. He was making the rounds, going to every podcast in town. So it was nice to talk to him about Star Wars. He's just a good guy, fellow fan, loves Star Wars, and he was lucky enough to be chosen to actually stand in as a bounty hunter in the background for the Mandalorian. So that was really cool chatting with him about his experience on set. And we've had quite a lot of other stuff, random topics here and there. I figured I would put one episode at one time about the 7 most debatable topics in Star Wars or something like that. That was an interesting one to do. A buddy of mine was able to swing by and help me out with that, just conversing about some of these topics. And again, very early on in the show, those episodes are very... they weren't very structured, and quite frankly, as much as I pay those episodes a lot of respect as far as the content for what it is, very beginning couple episodes sort of thing. I'm not a big fan of the recording sound quality, just because we were all hovering around one microphone at the time, and I found a way, thanks to COVID, I've actually found a better way to do all this stuff. So now we do it all through the internet online, and it's been a lot better actually. As far as recording quality goes, I was very surprised about how much of a better sounding end result that I actually got out of that. So that's cool. So that's some of the stuff we've done. Some of the stuff we're looking forward to is commentary tracks. If you guys like commentary tracks, that's something that I've had in the back of my mind for a while, is just sitting down with a round table of people who've been involved with the show before. You'll hear familiar voices if you've been tuning in for a while, and we're just going to be conversing about the movies as we go through them. So we'll just have a solid recording dedicated to The Phantom Menace, and we're going to sit down, watch The Phantom Menace, and we're just going to talk about it throughout the length of the film. And if you're as big of a Star Wars fan as I am, there's no competition here, but I mean, I think you and I, if you know who you are, you're probably thinking, I can watch this movie without the sound and still enjoy it while listening to somebody else. So, I mean, because I've seen the movie so many times, I don't need to listen to it with sound anymore. As much as I love hearing John Williams and the speech at full volume, I think it would be quite fun to actually talk about the movie while I'm watching it. And normally that's like a pet peeve of mine. Normally I just hate talking about movies while I'm watching the movie. I just like to watch a movie in pure silence. I get it. With Star Wars though, I after 100 times or more, or more than 1,000 or something, I don't even know how many times I've seen these movies, but quite frankly, I'm okay to talk about them while it's playing. So that's something I'm looking forward to, is doing some commentary tracks while the movie's going on. You guys can sync up at home. We'll let you know when we hit play, and then we'll just let it roll. You watch the movie on half volume or something like that, and you can hear us conversing about the film in the background. We'll just be breaking down the movie in a further way as it's playing on screen, which is kind of cool. And it's not going to be structured or I guess things that we might have a few notes that we might bring up that we've written down beforehand, but for the most part, we're just going to be, as a group, sitting down, watching the film, and then chatting about all the the most important things that each of us know about these different areas. And I'm convoluting it a little bit, but it'll be more interesting, I think, than I make it sound. So stay tuned for that, and stay tuned for some more book reviews. That's something I really want to do, is get into more of the Del Rey stuff. A lot of the book releases that have been coming out have somewhat bypassed me while I've been busy with Clone Wars Talk, because that's been a big project. But other than that, we have had one or two book reviews or discussions in the past. Same with the video games, the VR, the Vader Immortal, and Jedi Fallen Order. That was great to have as well. I think those went pretty well. But yeah, those book reviews have kind of eluded me a little bit. And I know they've been covered a bit on other shows, as well as just common news. So if you guys have any feedback for us, that's one thing I'm going to mention later as well. Always feel free to send some feedback, whether it's an email, a tweet, or whatever. I'll mention how the ways you can get in touch with us in a bit here, but that's always on the table for you guys, whether you're new to the show or you've been tuning in for a while. Feel free to get in touch with myself about kind of what we can do to make, or what I can do to make these recordings more enjoyable for you guys. So that would be great. But yeah, other than that, I think that's pretty much it as far as content goes. There's a few ways that you guys can get in touch with the show, and I've made many areas available. So number one on the list is the Twitter feed. Our Twitter handle is at SW Escape Podcast. That's in the description, and that's an everyday thing. That's like, you guys can get in touch with myself. I run the Twitter feed, and just in the show in general, you can ask questions, submit some feedback, comment. You could just interact with my daily posts or whatever it is. It's a good way for just the show to interact with the listeners, and it's a great way to actually stay on top of the updates that we're giving, as well as new episode releases. There's a incoming broadcast tweet that happens every time an episode launches, so you can look forward to that kind of information as well. But yeah, the Twitter feed is honestly the best way to keep in touch with us at the show. So, and specifically us, I mean me, because I'm the one who runs the account. There is a Facebook page, but it's very new and hardly used. And honestly, I used to have Facebook years ago, got rid of it personally, only recently made an account page just for the podcast, just so that the name was present on that social media platform. Do I use it? Not really. It is available to you guys if you want to look it up, but unless I get more activity happening on there with people following that page, I'm probably not going to use it. It was just a placeholder for if that platform ever got more active. So that is out there, just throwing it out there, just so you know. There's an app called Swellcast. I'm going to put the link in the description. You can get it on your phone. It's an app that you basically have voice memos that go back and forth between myself and you guys. So I can post a little message and up to 5 minutes long, and then your replies can be up to 5 minutes long. It's just a cool little interaction thing. It's almost like a forum, but it's all voice memo based. So it's a really cool way for me to just give you guys a quick, like, 1 minute kind of mini segment of something, and then you guys can actually reply to that, and I can listen to your replies. And I've had a few replies. Not that there's been too much activity on that app in general, but I think we're the only Star Wars podcast on there at the moment. So that's kind of cool. But at least when I last checked that I was, and there might be more now, but yeah, that platform is actually trying to expand. So they reached out to me to actually make an account with them and try and use the platform as much as possible. So I am now encouraging you guys as the listeners to do the same. Just check it out. If it's not for you, just get rid of it. But this is not a sponsored message or anything like that. I'm just saying it's kind of a cool platform. I've never seen anything like it before. And I'm going to continue using it as long as I get some replies on the posts. But if a couple weeks go by and nothing happens, then maybe I'll just ditch it. But yeah, it's not bad. So check that out. And also, what else do we got here? We got the Discord. So the Discord server is a bit of a long story. in a rundown, it's what I use to organize recordings and do the show with, whether it be video, screen sharing, all this stuff. It's what I actually use as a tool for other people on the show. Diego's the longest running user of mine while doing this whole Discord switch from local recording to online. So that's one of the tools that we use to do a recording with. And I figured, hey, might as well make some of the channels public. So the link is there for you guys. There's a couple RSS feeds and a welcome page. And just in general, it's very little right now. But if you want to submit some feedback about what I can add to make it more of a fun server, I know there's plenty of Star Wars based Discord servers out there, but if there's something that I can do to make it more interesting for you, then let me know, because it is a smaller user base, so there's not going to be nearly as much garble and activity on it as some of the other ones are. And there's a channel on there where you can have there's a bunch of links. It's basically like a hub of links to pretty much everything I'm talking about today, including our host site on Podbean. And it's just a great way. It's almost like an interactive business card. Just picture it that way. I think that's actually how I described it in the welcome page. So just keep that in mind. If you have Discord, just hit the link. Hopefully it's not a distracting server. I think all the notifications are muted. But yeah, it is what it is. There's also a channel in there to follow updates about the show and new episodes. So that's pretty much that. And I believe that's pretty much every single way that you can actually get in touch with us. Aside from that, there's of course the email, theescapepod@outlook.com. And yeah, once again, big thank you to everyone who's been tuning into the show over the last year. All the guests, all the co-hosts that I've had in all the episodes, personal friends of mine, or new friends, or just guests that have come on once and had a good time. Big thank you to everybody, because it makes it a lot more interesting. And I'm looking forward to more content coming your way at Lightspeed going forward into the next year. Hopefully it's a better one. 2020 is a bit of a write-off, but if you guys are interested in listening to the show or listening in in one of your podcasting apps, if you use a particular platform, we're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Deezer, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, pretty much all of them. So if you have an app that we are not on, as far as your library of podcasts that goes, just let me know. Send me an email, a tweet, or a voice memo, whatever, and I'd be happy to get the show on that platform for you guys. Very last thing is we have a voicemail page. Feel free to send a voicemail, even if you don't have Swell. This is completely different. You just hit the link, you hit record, boom, you send a voicemail in, and you might just hear yourself on the show at some point. So I'd love to get you guys interacting with the show a little more as well on a listener base, just to get some nice words in there. Any questions you have, anything you have to say as far as comments goes, that would be awesome. And the last thing that you guys can ever possibly do to help us out is rate the 5 stars, thumbs up, subscribe, whatever you got to do to get it up there. Helps with the search results. And lastly, just share the podcast with a friend. That's always a huge help. Thank you guys so much for listening, and may the Force be with you. We'll see you next time in the next episode coming your way.